Welcome to the 6th episode of season number 2 of We Who Dare. I was so excited when we started this podcast last year. If you didn't see our first season, it was really amazing. We did it on parenting, and we interviewed my wife and I interviewed some really cool people. One of them was a SEAL Team 6 guy. So you want to learn how to, structure your kid's life and apply discipline and confidence? How about learning the SEAL way, So it was really cool, and it ended up in a story really about their marriage more than anything. And so healthy parents create healthy parenting. So anyway, check that, man. You want to make sure if you've never heard that season or watched that season, man, go back there and watch that. But thanks for joining me for the final episode of season number 2. What we've been talking about is why we do what we do as a ministry and how we do it. And we say we who dare to do what? Well, the what we dare to do is the mission God has assigned the church. Go make disciples, Matthew 28. We translate it this way: engage the world far from God with the gospel of Jesus Christ to know and follow him. Our vision for fulfilling that is to accomplish that mission, that mission. Wow, I can't talk. All right. To accomplish that mission in the counties on the western side of the Charlotte metro region, and to accomplish that mission in communities and people groups around the world who have no access to the gospel. Specifically, it's to localize the mission of Christ within the counties on the western metro region of Charlotte and in people groups who have no access to the gospel. That localization being key. And so we've talked about the fundamental objectives to fulfill it. The fundamental objectives of making sure our vision is accomplishing the mission of Christ and not becoming our mission of itself. And so for our vision to accomplish the mission of Christ, we have to connect with one another and connect with those who don't know Christ. Can't engage us far from God if you don't have relationships. We talked about we have to teach the Bible and the gospel it's about. We need to inspire one another on the worthiness of knowing and following Jesus. We need to grow one another, actually disciple one another to be fruit-bearing Christians. And we went down in our last episode of what that looks like. But then finally, if we don't do this last one, all that's for nothing. All of that will literally die in our generation if we don't do the last one. Sadly, so many churches around America are dying in this generation. They're going to not exist. There's just going to be buildings all over the place with no churches in them. And there's a lot of reasons to that, but a lot of those reasons are because they had no vision, no passion, and no commitment to do number 5. The 5th ministry objective is to multiply. We have to multiply. We can't go fast enough adding. We have to multiply. Adding means I go out and I bring everybody to Jesus and you get excited about it. Multiplying is we don't just make disciples, we make disciple makers who go out and do that all over again. Multiplying, by the way, is literally what Jesus put in place. In Matthew 28, we've talked about it already numerous times through this. He said, go therefore and make disciples of all nations, of all people groups, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them, here's where it loops back around, to observe all that I've commanded you. Well, what did he command us to do? Go make disciples. So fundamentally, a part of doing what Jesus commanded us to do is teaching them, the people we lead to become followers of Jesus, to then become those who then go lead other people to be followers of Jesus. So teaching them to observe all that I've commanded you, behold, I'm with you always to the end of the age. So our philosophy of ministry is that as we serve together in ministries to build up the body, to do things in the community, whatever it is that we're serving together in our group, all right? So our groups are all centered around serving together, going into the world to make disciples together, putting our passions to work together. So as we do that, we're doing that completely with the intention of our group growing to the point that it's fat and happy, but so fat and happy, our group's got to become more than one group. So we got to split. We do diet by splitting, which is kind of funny because to me, a split is not a diet thing. It's a thing with banana and ice cream on it, which kind of goes against my whole metaphor, but just work with me anyway, all right? So we believe in dieting by splitting. We're going to get fat and happy, and then we're going to split so that we can get fat and happy again, and then split again, get fat and happy, and split again. So within your group, we intend that not everybody in your group is always going to be with you in your group. And you go, golly day, I thought I'm supposed to connect with people on a deep level. Well, you are. It doesn't mean your group's going to, split every 3 months. Now, that'd be pretty wild if it did, and we're not going to knock it because that'd be pretty awesome. If you can get fat and happy in 3 months, that's incredible, all right? But Most groups, it's going to take a year or two to be able to get fat and happy enough. By happy, we mean growing in Jesus, healthy, and able to now become two groups. You're healthy enough to go from one group to two groups and keep becoming fat and happy and growing and being healthy. So we intend for there to be a good gospel goodbye. Well, that's wrong. A gospel see you later. We intend for, hey, we're not going to be meeting in our group every week, but we're going to see each other because we're going to continue laboring together in the same ministry. All right. So if you're in our student ministry, you're one of our student ministry groups that are headed up by Jason Gilbert. We have a lot of Jasons around here, so you got to clarify. Then we hope your group of student ministry leaders that are working with Jason, serving together to reach high school, middle school students, we hope your group of leaders gets so big that it becomes two groups of leaders, where you're going to still see each other at VSM and all the other things and hang out. And there's nothing stopping you from still connecting and being friends and watching a game together or getting together to go do Avery, whatever it is you women get together to do. We men don't get y'all anyway, all right? So there's nothing stopping you from being friends with those people. But the intentionality of being a group and doing the things that a group does, if it doesn't multiply, then we can't keep having people come in. And that is fundamental to the mission of Christ. Go make disciples. Man, when we see the church flourishing in Acts chapter 2 as it gets started, there's people being added day by day and they're growing day by day. And there's no way that we're fitting everybody in one person's house. They had thousands come to Christ on the first day. Anybody's house got time for that. All right. So they are constantly growing and expanding, and they're not losing their love and care for one another. And they're not giving up relationships they don't need to give up, but they're very intentional that our purpose is the mission of Christ. And therefore, we have to go make disciples. We have to be willing to leave what is comfortable to create something even better. And so let me give you some ideas of how your group might multiply. First and foremost, the pastors of our church are working hard through coaches and other things to make sure your group is ready to multiply. That's literally our job, to make sure you're ready to do that. And so they're going to be working with you in very specific ways, but let me give you a general idea of how that pastor or coach is going to help you along the way over the next 6 months or year or 2 years to be ready to split and become another group. There's a couple things that they're going to do. One, they're going to be helping you in your spiritual health personally, shepherding you and making sure that you're growing and bearing fruit. And it's not just you leading a group, but also that there's someone there with you as you do. They're also going to be giving you practical ideas on how your group can function as it serves together in ministry and all that, and how it can be effective in those areas. And looking for the gifts and talents within your group to try to identify particular leaders who might be good at also leading groups. And there might be some people in your group who don't really have something that's really big in student ministry. For instance, you may have a group leader, and I don't know that we do, but we have a group leader that's really great at leading the adult group, but they're not really ready to lead the student group. That's cool. You're serving together. Maybe they show up and just help put out water bottles on Wednesday night. But meanwhile, their gifts and talents are best used in being a group leader within the student ministry, helping shepherd those who are laboring together to minister to those students. So that coach or that pastor is going to help you find whose skill sets are what. And within the body of Christ, who's the nose, who's the eye, who's the ear, who's the toe, and how does that work together? And so they're going to be right there with you, helping you along that way so that we can multiply in a healthy way. But then there's just other concepts, all right? Here's some things that may take place. You as a group leader might leave to go start another group. Most of the groups that we've done, hey, by the way, what you hear in the background is not a child being beat to death, but that's the Boys and Girls Club showing up, and we need some of your groups coming here mentoring. Hear that kid screaming? All right, so he's just screaming for fun. Nobody's being beat. Well, so some groups are going to multiply. Y'all know I'm ADD, right? So I have to address it or my brain won't let it go. So some groups are going to multiply because the group leader leaves. Carrie and I have done that most frequently. We get a group, we get it healthy, and then we give it away to someone else to lead, go start another group. Some groups are going to multiply out of a split, like literally half y'all are going to go here, half y'all are going to go there. For some of that, it might be within the ministry you're serving in. For others, it may be there's a group of people in there that really get a heart for another area of ministry. as we start this groups-based church ministry, one of our groups had a bunch of people in it that really kind of migrated their passion, their skill set, and desire to serve into what Avery and Dan do. The rest of them really kind of connected and made sense for them to serve in our student ministry. So that's how that group split. They started a new group within Dan's area, and they started a group that kind of already existed in the student area. So you may split by the group leader leaving. You may split by dividing up the focus of where you're serving. We're going to now go help in this area of ministry, and y'all are going to go help in this area of ministry. Your group can also just split, just because it's too big. It's just too big. And so it's just becoming dysfunctional. We can't put all these people up in our crib. And so we're just going to do that. And therefore, in a lot of those instances, sometimes it just kind of migrates into how the relationships have already kind of started forming within the group. We're not cliques, but you well know if you get 20 people in a room, you're going to connect with 8 or 10 of those better than you connect with all 20. You're going to connect with 3. You're going to connect with 1. And that's not a bad thing. Jesus had 65, 12, 3, and 1 as well. And so your group might just split because it's so big that now you got 20 some people and you're actually starting to have natural connections here that are more significant than these over here. And you often find this holy fault line of relationships that just kind of makes sense. And so your pastor and your coach are going to help you along with that. Now, to set that up, here's some things you need to do to be intentional so that it happens. As a group, take turns leading discussions. Don't just be the person who leads every group. Take turns and start developing people who know how to lead this Bible study, who know how to pray, who know how to do this with one another. Second, take turns hosting. Enhance that gift of hospitality. Enhance that command to serve one another, to use your home to serve one another. When I see my home as a mission field, not just in my own family, but as an opportunity to serve others, man, that's a game changer. So how do you prepare your group to multiply? Let others lead the discussion. Let others host it. Take turns praying. Or Carrie was talking about in the women's group that she's a part of. I think it was that she got asked to lead it one night, and she made everybody pray. And so for some, that's like the most horrifying experience ever. But it was really cool as all the women prayed, they realized that was amazing. And there was no reason to be fearful. And it just amped up their confidence in their ability to be a part of the movement of Christ and participate in that command to pray for one another. So in your group, it's a safe environment. We've all got to know each other. We know each other's poop stinks. We've heard each other's sins. And hey, we can pray for one another in this group. And so start taking turns doing that. Be intentional. Never ask who would like to pray. Don't ever do that. Dan and Avery will tell you, when I ask people to pray, I never in staff meetings say, who would like to pray? And our staff is nothing but leaders. I literally will put someone on the spot. Avery, we need you to pray right now for our ministry. Da, 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 da. So don't feel bad about that. Put people on the spot with hosting. Dan, we need you to host next week. Dan says, well, I can't host next week. Cool. All right. Understand. Okay. So then the week after that, we need you to host. Well, I got to fold my sock drawer that week. Okay. Well, your sock drawer will be done week 2. So on week 3, Dan, we need you to host. You getting the idea here? I'm not going to let Dan say no. I'm going to keep pestering Dan until he's going to host a home. So we want you to be able to do that. Now, last, find ways to delegate leadership of practical elements involved with connecting, teaching, inspiring, growing, and multiply. Look within your group and find how can we delegate ownership into these things. Who can be the one who's making sure our group is really living out what it means to connect with believers? Who can in our group can be the one who really makes sure the people in our group are connecting with non-believers? Who's the person in our group that's really going to make sure we're teaching the gospel and the Bible and the gospel it's about, delegating that out to others? Who within the group is in charge of making sure we're hearing each other's stories? Who within the group is making sure we're asking each other those questions about giving and reading our Bible and being a part of the body of Christ and serving and those ministry objectives that we're just walking through? And who within the group is in charge of making sure that we're going to get fat and happy and multiply? Delegate all of those things out. As you delegate them out, you're going to find ownership and you're going to find a healthier group that's been leading and ready to multiply. If you just make the group all about you and you do everything, never going to multiply. So as we close, think about what Jesus did here. Jesus has 12 disciples who had a habit of arguing over who was going to be the most important in the kingdom. They get confronted about that all the time. They frequently don't understand that Jesus said, I'm come to die and I'm going to rise from the grave, to the point that when he did die, they panic and forgot that he said he was going to rise from the grave, to the point they questioned when the women came back and said the tomb is empty. They're like, no, it can't be, right? So my point is, these guys got more things wrong in the 3 years that they walked around with Jesus than they even remotely got right. Yet, what does Jesus do with them? He anoints them and he sends them out 2 by 2 to preach the gospel. Say what? They didn't even know what the gospel was really about yet. And Jesus had sent them out to go proclaim it and to go heal people and cast out demons. I mean, talk about pressure. We're saying get somebody to host a home. Jesus sent them out and said, go cast out demons and heal people, which became a train wreck at one point. They come back and they're like, man, we've done everything. We can't get this to work. And Jesus is like, oh my gosh, it comes through much prayer and fasting. And he has to, and then he coaches them up on how this is going to work. So, yep, you're going to sign things and people in your group might fail. They might mess it up. That's your opportunity to coach them up and teach them how to do it right. Hey man, you forgot to send the reminder that or you didn't do this and you forgot that. That's not to come and punish them. That's to say, hey, you forgot it. Just reminding you that you got it. So let's get it right the next time. Don't just turn away and go, I didn't see anything. You're there to help people grow up and become leaders, which means applauding their successes and helping them through their failures to be successful at those in the future. So delegate out. Don't be scared of delegating it out. If you got somebody that you know doesn't like to talk, maybe don't give them the first assignment of leading the discussion. So know your group, know their gifts, know their passions, know their talents. Delegate things out intentionally. Make yourself do it. And listen, I ain't saying I'm the best at it. This is just what we need to do. All right. So make yourself do it, and then you will be building a healthy group that's ready to multiply. Make yourself hold each other accountable to pray for those who don't know Christ, and let the body of Christ multiply into the lost world, our mission. Everything needs to be about multiplication, from the person coming to Christ and being baptized to the group that they become a part of so that they can grow and prosper in their faith and make disciples themselves as they do. All right, so that is the end of our second season. Yay, Avery! You should put it in the clap. Yay! Because if you're watching this, that means Avery did her job. And if you're not watching this, you don't know that Avery didn't do her job. So if you're watching this, because Avery did her job. And so thank you, Avery. Thank you, Dan, for all that you do in our ministry to teach the gospel, inspire people, and all those ministry objectives. You guys are doing it. And so many of them and their team are doing it behind the scenes. If you want to know more about being a part of this ministry that just produced this podcast, then go to our website, email Dan, email Avery, and let them know, hey, I'd like to be a part of this media team that's making this kind of content. And guess what? We're not just going to ask you to serve. We're actually going to ask you to become a part of one of the groups that produces this, because we are a church of groups. And that's how we believe we're going to be most successful at fulfilling the vision God's given us to accomplish his mission. So, hey, thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to season number 3 and what that's going to be about. So stay tuned, and we hope to see you soon.